On the one hand, Challenger is a really important film. On the other, it's not a good film. This was released in 1990. It's directed by Glenn Jordan, written by George England, and we have a cast including Peter Boyle. It's because of Peter Boyle that I became aware of this. We also have Karen Allen, Barry Bostwick, and various others. And I will say, credit where it's due, the performances are absolutely fine. The film is about the disaster with the space shuttle in the 80s, where civilians were on board. They had the chance to go on board, and unfortunately, almost as soon as it launched, it exploded, and obviously everybody died. And it's absolutely horrific. And I think to tell the stories of the people on board is really important. And I think that that's significant. I think the film doing that, in a way, is an important thing. If it's done accurately, I have absolutely no idea about the actual individuals. I know of their names, but I don't know much about their personal lives. So that part of the film I don't hate, the events leading up to it. But the pacing is terrible, and I think they took completely the wrong approach with this. The entire film is the events leading up to the launch. The entire thing. And a little bit of that is good. In fact, a good chunk of the film should have been that, to give us the time to get to know the people on board, to get to know the individuals, to remember their names more, and I think that that would be really important. But there's not enough material there to last the duration of the film, and it's a very long film as well. It's about 2 hours, I think maybe a little, in fact over 2 hours, and it had no business being that long. Nothing happens for pretty much the entire film. They could have easily given us the events leading up to it well within the first hour, and then the disaster should have happened, and then we should have seen the aftermath, learning about what happened. That would have been a lot more emotional as well, and impactful, and also a lot more informative as we look at the investigation afterwards. I think that would have actually made it a much more moving, meaningful film. So while I don't dislike the fact that it's focusing primarily on the lives of the individuals leading up to this, I think that's important. I think that should have only been part of the film. Half of the film, maybe 2/3 of the film, but not the entirety of a tremendously boring long film. And that means that, in my opinion, fewer people are going to watch the film because it is quite a tedious experience. So even though spreading the message of these people's lives and getting their names out there more is important, if people aren't going to watch the film because it's boring, it kind of defeats the purpose. If you're really, really, really into NASA and you're really interested in the events leading up to this, you might enjoy it a little bit more. Obviously, we learn about the build-up with the shuttle itself and getting it ready and things, and that's marginally interesting. But again, it's just not that fascinating. There's not enough there to carry the duration of the film, so I think they did a really bad job with this. It's a really poor film. The pacing is terrible. Visually, it's okay, I guess. The characters are, I guess, well enough written, but I don't know how true they are to the true individuals. I applaud them for getting the names out there and helping people to learn more about the individuals affected by this, but it's done in a way that's not effective, so it defeats the purpose. Challenger is not a good film. I think they completely took the wrong approach with this. There's very little emotion in this. It's very boring. The characters are fine, but again, if it's not really a watchable film, what difference does it make? Do I recommend it? Not really, and I wasn't expecting to say that. I wasn't expecting to say that when I sat down to watch this, because I thought this could be emotional, powerful, and a strong way to help remember the individuals affected, and it's just dire. Not a good film. Challenger is not worth watching unless you're really interested in this particular event. If it's something that you already know a lot about and you want to see how they've interpreted it, maybe give it a go. But if you want to learn more about this and the people involved, there are many, many resources online to do that I think would be a much better use of time and probably a much more emotional, impactful experience. It's not a good film. Challenger is quite a disappointment, and I don't really recommend it.